Excitement and adventure are around every corner this summer at your library. Create your own literary wonderland at home. Immerse yourself in our never ending online library. Learn new skills, explore virtual events, and connect with your community in a whole new way. Starting May 18th, the Prince George's County Memorial Library System and the Washington Nationals bring summer at your library to you. Hit a home run this summer and register today.
Good afternoon, and welcome to PGCMLS Career Chat, where you can learn about career paths from leaders in the community. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoy.
Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Career Chat. We have the lovely Allison Jones here. She's a real estate agent in Prince George's County, and she's going to be telling us a little bit about her career. I'm your host today, Shannon Crooks. I am a librarian 3 at the Hillcrest Heights branch within the Prince George's County Library System. So, Allison, welcome. We're so happy to have you today. First question is, what was your educational path from high school to where you are now?
So right out of high school, I did go to college. I attended Morgan State University, and I worked in the field of social work for a few years before transitioning into the field of real estate. Social work and education. And then I obtained my license.
Okay, I'm a social worker too, so welcome, fellow social worker. We used our skills and transitioned them to a different career. So that's something I always like to point out to our viewers, is that just because you start off in one career doesn't mean you don't end up in another career, and you can use those skills and use them as transferable skills to a different career or a new career. So viewers, please keep that in mind. If you're looking to transition to another career, maybe you can evaluate some of the skills you already have and use them in something else. So thank you for sharing that with us, Allison. Mm-hmm. Okay, next question is, how did you get interested in your profession?
So it's an interesting story. So in high school, we had what we called a memory book for your senior year. And I was looking through my memory book when I moved a few years ago. And it's funny, when I found, just kind of looking through it, laughing. And one of the pages, it was like, where do you see yourself in? And it had these different categories, years, so forth and so on. And one of the questions was, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I said, I see myself as a landlord, owning an apartment building, renting out 3 of them, living in 1 of them. Mm-hmm. Had no clue that I've not done that, but always knew that I wanted to be a landlord or in real estate. So when me and my husband first got married, we purchased a home. I ended up not really liking the house after we moved into it, and wanted to move and was unable to because we had only been in the house for a year. Talked to an agent and was really upset when he was like, you can't move. And so he said, but you can rent it out. And I was like, well, somebody would rent it. I was like, well, how can I rent it and then purchase a house? And it was like a lot of conversation. And he explained a term to me, which me and my husband have used, which is called house hacking. So I became an agent by investing in real estate first. And so to remove the middleman out of the process, I just went ahead and got my license so that I would not have to continue to use an agent. But we kind of stumbled into it, didn't like the house. I wanted to move, ended up renting the house out and buying another home. And we did that for a couple of years, but I wanted to be able to do it without an agent because I started realizing how much the agent was getting paid off of this. Mm-hmm. And so I went and got my license a few years ago, about 2.5 years ago, to be my own agent. And so the last transition that we just made, we just moved back here in February. I was the agent for that deal.
Oh, wow. So are you using some of the skills you obtained as a social worker and an educator in your field now, real estate?
Absolutely. I was actually just having a conversation with a family member about it yesterday. She was congratulating me on my success, and she said, what do you think helps you with this? And I said, to be honest, my social work skills really do come into this. Being able to hear people, listen to them, take what they're saying, and help them to apply what they consider challenges in a situation, because buying a house is a very stressful process. So almost being a therapist with them through the process and helping them to navigate the system, and educating them about the process as well. A lot of people want to buy a house but aren't really familiar with the processes and all the things that go into it and all the resources that you have available to you. So helping them to understand that and transferring that information to them, even if they're not ready right now, while you're getting yourself ready, these are the things that you can do so that when that time comes, you'll be able to purchase your home.
Right. Wow. Yeah. So a lot of people think about real estate and they're not really sure what educational path to go down. Would you recommend getting a bachelor's degree or just going to certification classes to become a real estate agent? What kind of direction should people
So
take?
in order to be a real estate agent, there are a few things. You have to be 18 years of age or older.
Mhm.
There is a class that you have to take. There's a pre-licensed class that's 60 hours and you have to complete it. You can do it either in person or online.
Okay.
Once you complete the class, you have to take a test to get out of the class and you have to pass it at 70% or better.
Wow.
Once you pass that test, then you have to sit for the national and local exam. So I sat for the Maryland state exam and the national exam, and you have to pass that exam as well. Once you do that, you apply for your license with the state, and then you find a brokerage that you want to work under to house your license under.
Okay. And is there a cost to the classes or the certification exams?
There are, and the classes are offered at many places. You can take the pre real estate license class, the 60-hour class. You can take it at some real estate brokerages. You can do it online. There are a couple of companies that do it online. You can do it at PG Community College, and the prices vary anywhere from like $199 to $250 to $300 is about the range that I've seen it in. I took it at a real estate brokerage firm here in Prince George's County. I went 3 nights a week from 6 to 9:30 or 6 to 10, 3 nights a week for about 2.5 or 3 months, I think it was. Um, and so there's a cost associated with that. There's a cost associated for taking the exam, the state and local exam. That exam cost is about $60, I think.
Okay.
And then when you apply for your license with the state, there's a fee of $110, I think, for your initial license. And then you have to get it renewed every 2 years.
Okay. And does the brokerage help pay for any of these costs, or is it solely on you to get that paid for?
It is solely on you, but as a business owner, it's a business expense. And
Okay.
so if you ask me if there's anything in addition to these classes, I would suggest that people take business classes, even if it's at a small community college, but get some information in terms of like how do you operate as a business? Because as a real estate agent, I am paying for my classes, the resources, any promotional things that I'm using to promote my business cards, signage, all of that kind of stuff, that falls on me. So I am a business owner. So understanding how to complete my taxes, what my receipts should look like, what expenses, how much am I bringing in, how much am I spending for my business, how much am I putting aside for my taxes. So I highly recommend if people choose to take this path but aren't interested in doing a 4-year college, at least doing taking some business classes, if not even an associate's.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. The next question is, how much time did you invest into getting to where you are? You answered it a little bit, but did you do anything in addition to those things?
Um, it's a matter of I'm a person like this, depending on what you want, that's how much energy and time you'll put into it. And so I set quarterly goals for myself. What is it that do I want to accomplish in the first quarter of the year? So forth and so on. So for me, it really depends on where I am in my business and what it is that I'm trying to do and what I haven't accomplished yet. So it's not a typical 9 to 5. I am constantly researching things, especially in this time that we're in right now. The world is in a very different place. So just understanding what's going on globally and how that's impacting the state of Maryland, as well, and specifically Prince George's County, because that's where most of my deals are taking place. So just making sure that I'm keeping myself abreast as to what's going on so that I can communicate that to my clients, but also to my future clients. So how am I making myself marketable and keeping myself informed as to what's going on?
Mm-hmm. Very good. Okay. So next question is, what kind of obstacles did you face in your pursuit of your profession?
Um, I think for me, one of the obstacles for me, and one of the things that kept me from doing this sooner rather than why I didn't do it sooner, I have a fear of taking tests. So
Mm,
for me, one of the obstacles I had to get over is just like getting over that fear and understanding that if I want to do this, like I'm going to have to push past and I can't let that stop me from doing this. Carving out the time to make sure that I'm preparing myself when I was preparing for the exams, like carving out time to study, to understand the information and not just understand it for the test, but also understanding it for application. So just making sacrifices and having to choose, like there's some things that, and even in this business, sometimes I have events that I can't participate in or things that I can't do because, you know, I have to go to work or I have something else that I have to attend to. So
mhm,
just making sure that I am keeping a balance with everything.
mhm. Yes, you brought up two really great points. I know some high schoolers are watching and some college students. Time management and test anxiety are something they're facing now. So, really trying to figure out, like you said, carving out that time, making a schedule. So, if you're watching and you're a college or a high school student, start with your calendar and your planner and start planning out your days, planning out what times you have to study for your exams, giving yourself time to prepare for those exams. And then that will hopefully lower your test anxiety because you feel more prepared, you feel more confident walking into the test. So you can start doing that now if you
Mhm.
are a viewer and you're a student. So
It's funny
thank
that you
you for
it's funny that you say that because I had a really strict schedule.
that. Mhm.
So my usual wake up time was 6 o'clock in the morning. When I was in the taking the class, my wake up time became 5 o'clock, so that I would give myself that extra hour to either go over vocabulary words, read a chapter, like whatever I needed to do for that hour. Then at the end of the day, I did another hour at the end of the day on the days that I did not have class.
Mhm.
Um, if we did during that time period, my family, we did a couple of trips on the weekend. I still stuck to my schedule even on the trips. So making that sacrifice because to your point, it's time management. And so while everyone else was like off having fun, I was like, I'll meet you guys there, but like I need to devote some time and make sure that I'm keeping my muscle memory going for this information.
Yeah, so being consistent. I know a lot of people, when they're preparing for an exam or a test, they wait till like maybe 30 days before the test to start preparing or a week before. With a major certification or exam, you really got to kind of start months in advance or sometimes even a year in advance and prepare yourself leading up to the test. So, great point, Allison. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
Next question is, what advice do you have for someone wanting to do what you do and getting into real estate?
Um, just do it. Do your research and do it. The the biggest thing is understanding what it is that you want to do in real estate, and that real estate is so broad. Whether you're working with first-time buyers, list people who are just selling, if you want to help people who are investors only, if you want to do real estate yourself, like there's so many different avenues. Do your homework, do your research, get a mentor. I have a couple of different mentors that I call when I'm stuck on something or when I'm thinking something through or I'm trying to figure out a different way that I can do something to help a client. So making sure that you have like-minded people around you, but also people that can pour into you so that you can learn from someone. But do your research and just step out into it and surround yourself with like-minded people.
Yes, so you can bring up another great point, which is having a mentor. I know a lot of young people have mentors, when they're in school, but when they get to become adults, they don't really think about, hey, I need a mentor in my adult life. But it's
Mm-hmm.
also very important in your adult life to have a mentor in your profession, hopefully. Someone that you can, like Allison said, call on to ask questions, to bounce ideas off of, to get support, motivation, encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
So please keep that in mind. Also, for our adult listeners, if you don't have a mentor in your profession, seek someone to mentor you, someone who's been in the profession for a while, someone who maybe has a certain expertise that they can help guide you in your journey throughout your career. So, yes, very important. A lot of professionals do not have mentors as adults, and I just want to encourage the importance and the significance of having that person in your life. So, thank you for bringing that up as well. So I'm going to mention tips or bring up tips. Allison is probably going to give us several tips throughout the session. So please, you know, keep those in mind if you are seeking a career or if you're already in a career, because these are some great tips that you can use to hopefully further your career and take you to the next level, as Allison has told us earlier. Next question is, what advice do you have? Oh, no, that was the last question. Next question is, where have you worked within the industry? You told us a couple of places, but are there some that you didn't mention? I know you talked about brokerage. Um,
So yeah, I work under a brokerage that so I'm licensed in the state of Maryland. My deals have been in Prince George's County, St. Mary's County, Charles County, um, Baltimore City, Baltimore County are the primary areas, Montgomery County, but I'm licensed throughout the entire state to help individuals. And so one of the things I have to always keep in mind is that each county has different rules, different regulations. And so making sure that I'm clear on what the rules and regulations are for each specific county and or city.
okay. Have you ever worked in any other state in the United States besides Maryland?
No,
Okay. But
no.
I'm pretty sure they have different rules as well according to state. Is
They
that
do.
okay?
I've not done any deals. I'm actually looking to do some things in another state personally. And so I've been doing some research to see what the housing market is like in some other jurisdictions up north. I would not work as the agent on the deal because I'm not licensed in those jurisdictions. So within real estate, you have to be licensed within whatever state you're conducting a transaction on. However, you don't have to live in that state if you want to purchase real estate in another state. So there's a lot of resources out there if you're interested, maybe not in purchasing a house here, but if you know that the real estate is cheaper in another location and you want to buy it to rent it out, you can definitely do that as a resident of Maryland. You can buy property anywhere that you want to. You just have to find a real estate agent to conduct the deal for you.
Okay. If you wanted to be licensed in another jurisdiction, what would you have to do? Would you have to take the test again, or would you be able to just transfer your license? How does that work?
If you want to be licensed in another state, you have to go through their testing process.
Okay.
And it's different for every state. So just finding out what those requirements are and following through with them.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Next question is, can you compare and contrast the different jobs you've had within the real estate profession and even within social work and being a teacher? You know, how are things the same? How are things different? Just to kind of give our viewers some perspective.
So in terms of everything was similar, being consistent is something that is similar in all of them. My work ethic is the same in all of them. I'm being prompt, being on time, being prepared. What's different when I am working in the school system, I am working with little people. So the similarity though through that though is that I'm educating either way. So it's just a matter of who my audience is at that time, whether I'm educating a parent when I'm doing real estate or if I'm educating a young person.
Mhm.
One of the other differences I would say well, no, I already said it's my audience.
Mhm.
But in terms of how I approach it as an educational opportunity because typically when people are coming to you, even if they've already bought real estate, no real estate deal is ever the same. Like it's not a cookie cutter process. And every time I think that I've seen like probably the most extreme situation, something else comes at me and I'm just like, I would have never thought that something like this would happen. So it's just being prepared in any situation.
Mhm. Yeah, you bring up a great point about being consistent, being prepared. I'm pretty sure being organized,
That's
knowing your audience. That's pretty much for all jobs is that we have to know our audience. We have to know what what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, so we can tailor what we're teaching them to their needs, and so that they can understand and comprehend, what we're trying to get them to understand. And educating is in truly almost all professions, because everybody has to go through training, when they get the job, whether their boss is training them or they have to, sit with a trainer. And being consistent, all jobs want you to be consistent, do the job that you're set out to do a great job at it. So your performance is always being judged, and also being organized. We talked a little bit about that earlier, about carving out, our time management, balancing our time, being able to figure out where we have areas of time that aren't being utilized that we can utilize for something that has to do with our job. So students out there, if you're listening, please take notes. These are some things you can start to develop now. You don't have to wait until you're in your career and try to figure it out. And then if you are an adult and you are in your career, these are some things maybe you need to evaluate with regard to your performance, so you can get better, so that you can be more productive, and so that when you go to your next job, you can excel even, higher, soar even higher in your position. So thank you for those points, Allison. Next question is, how was or has your field changed since COVID-19? I ask all my interviewees this question, and everybody's perspective is different. So I'm interested to see, how has this affected the real estate market?
So it has not stopped it, which is when everything first happened, when things started to shut down in March. It was there was concern about, people aren't going to be buying, people aren't going to be selling. With the courthouses being shut down, like we thought everything was going, we were trying to figure out how to still do what we do with things being shut down. That being said, I feel like things picked up for me, actually. It's been extremely busy. The market has been, I had one property that someone put a contract in at sight unseen, just because things are moving so quickly off the market. A lot of things, it's forced me and others to like really get comfortable with Zoom presentations and meetings and interviews, using technology more. We've always had it, but it was never something that like I would typically not do a consultation via Zoom. I would set up some time where we have to meet in the office, and I usually would take 2 or 3 days. But now that everyone's doing everything on Zoom, it's like, okay, well, I can talk to you this evening. So kind of like sped everything up. It's been really interesting. Like what we were forecasting in March did not really happen in terms of like the slowdown. And I feel like those who are like really interested in buying or selling, those are the people that are out right now. And so it also kind of like carved out some people who were just kind of maybe thinking about it. It's like, nope, I'm serious. This is what I want to do. Can I see you tomorrow? Can we talk tomorrow? And it's like, whoa, like, okay. So it's been good. It's been a good season for me so far.
Yes, and you bring up several good points, especially the one about technology. Everybody that I've talked to and asked this question has said the same thing, that, yeah, we kind of knew the technology was there, but we didn't really take advantage of it. We didn't use it. We weren't sort of pushed in that direction to have to use it. And so now everybody's doing it. And it also creates an opportunity for us to have meetings at times that we would not ordinarily be able to. So if you have someone who can only see you in the evening, now you're at home, it gives you a little bit more flexibility to do an appointment through Zoom or any other online platform. So thanks for bringing that up. And then, also the fact that business picked up. A lot of people weren't expecting to be this busy in a time where we're in quarantine or people are not out as much. But some people, their business is really picking up. And like you said, some people are forced to make decisions now because of the circumstances they're in. Maybe they have to sell their home, or maybe they have to look for another home. So they're not as hesitant. They already come to you. My mind is made up. This is what I want to do. Let's go with it. So, in a lot of ways, this was a positive for you and several other people who are business owners or run their own business. So, yes, thank you for that. Um, Next question is, how can young folks, which we've been talking to, who are still in school, find volunteer opportunities in real estate?
Um, there are, if you know of an agent, like I have actually, we talked about technology because I've been forced to, but there's some things that I don't know as well about technology. So finding an agent or finding a brokerage that may have people who need assistance in terms of like helping you to understand how you can use technology, what all can be done with it. Doing research. I've had a couple of my younger family members where there are things that I need because things are moving so quickly. And I'm like, I need someone, these are some websites, like I need you to get me prices on this information for me, like do a spreadsheet for me. And I just want to know like how much would things cost me if I get 100 of these or, so finding someone who's in the field and finding out like, what kind of assistance do you need? And in anything, and we've kind of talked about this a little bit, but in all aspects and anything that you're doing, you have to show your value. And so what is it that you're bringing to the table? What is it? Why should someone, and even myself, why should you come to me to buy a house? Why should you sit down and talk to me? What do I know? What is it that I'm going to do that's going to positively impact your situation? So for the young people that are out there watching this, what is it that you bring to the table? Like what information, which skill sets do you have? And if you realize that you don't have that many or you want to increase yours, finding somebody reputable or reputable school or reputable credential organization to help you get that skill set that you need so that you can go to that next level that you're trying to go to.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thanks for bringing up those points. I know a lot of the young people know technology because that's just something they're born in it. They were raised
Yeah.
in it, so they know it a lot more than the older generation.
Yeah.
So yeah, they can bring this technology to a lot of these businesses, and sometimes they're not thinking in that way. They're not thinking, hey, I'm I can bring something to the table. I know technology. I know how to do Zoom meetings. I know how to do spreadsheets. I know how to market a business on social media. I think a lot of young people don't understand that in itself is a career.
That's a skill.
Yeah, and a skill. A lot of companies are looking for someone to run their social media platforms, and a lot of the young people, that's what they do every day. They're on Facebook, they're on Twitter, they're on Instagram, or the gram as they call it.
Yeah.
So they can use those different platforms to reach populations, and they also know how to pull people in,
Yeah.
and get people to look at a product or view
Yeah.
a product. So I really would like whoever's watching that's young and is thinking about, hey, what do I want to do with my life? Think about some of the things you're doing every day. These are things that companies need. And they need people in those positions to be able to do that. And now that we're dealing with COVID, a lot of them, like Allison said, need people who know how to use Zoom. They need people who know
Yeah.
how to set up these meetings and lead these meetings and discussions online, and they don't have the time to learn it. So they need someone to set it up, be a part of it, facilitate it, and run it. So if you're out there and you're a young person, I know you're probably using Zoom for school right now or other different various platforms. Keep that in mind. That could be a potential job for you, or a potential part-time job for you, or a potential volunteer opportunity for you. So please learn all you can learn. Now's the time to use those skills and hopefully volunteer somewhere, get some type of employment opportunity opened up for you as a young person. So next question is, what are key skills that young people should think about acquiring that apply to all career fields? We talked about some of them, but are there any in addition to the ones that we've discussed that you can share with us?
Um, I think just understanding technology, which this generation does have a firm grasp on it. I think what they need to understand is that what comes natural for them because they've grown up in it does not come natural for some of the older generation. And so that is a skill set. So understanding that what you do on a regular is something that you can market, sell, or make yourself an asset to an individual or a company. So just understanding your value. And then if it's not something that you, if it's an area that you have a deficit in, finding out how you can increase it. And I think that's the other thing. I think sometimes when young people don't understand how to do something, you can't be afraid to ask for help. I shouldn't just say young people. I think young and old. I think that's a people. That's a human nature. Like if it's not something that you don't understand how to do, and I'm that person that I will ask questions. I will wait till the class is over and wait and talk to the instructor one-on-one if I still haven't gotten it. You can't be afraid to do that, because if you don't know, you don't know. And sometimes you don't know what you don't know until you're actually in the situation. So just figuring out what it is that you can bring to the table and not take that for granted, but figuring out a way how you can make money off of it.
Yes, I agree. I have a lot of young people that come into the library and, you know, they're playing their video game or they're doing something on the computer. I'm like, wow, I don't know how to do that. And they show me and they say, what? You don't know how to do that?
Right.
And,
no,
yeah,
I don't.
I'm older. Yeah, I know how to use the computer, but some of the stuff that they can do, I never even knew could be done on the computer. So yes, I think young people really need to understand that and hold on to those skills and kind of use those as a basis to get better or to learn something else or to build upon those technology skills. Because I can remember when technology was first introduced back when I was in school, and you know, I learned stuff, but I didn't hang on to those skills. I kind of said, well, I don't need this, whatever.
Right.
But now I wish I would have hung on to those skills and build upon them to get better or to learn another skill. So yes.
Or understanding that when you are like when kids are playing the games, that's a level, like you understand coding on some level.
Yeah.
So like, but helping them to understand like what you do for fun, there is a way that you can use that in the business world as well. And so helping them to make that connection or helping them to find out how to make those connections. And so yeah, you're playing a game right now, but that same skill set, it's just like with you and I. We were both social workers. We transferred those skills from social work into something else. You have a skill set with computers and technology and games. How can you transfer that into the digital world and do other things in it besides just play a game?
Right. Yes. And parents, if you're listening to, challenge your kid to explore some of the free websites that have to deal with coding, where they can make their own video games. So it's not just about them playing a video game, they're actually creating, they're coding, they're learning, they're using STEM, they're using science and technology to really try to build upon what they already know. A lot of parents don't realize there are free websites out there for coding. If you don't know what they are, you can contact your local library and ask a librarian. You can ask some teachers. A lot of times teachers will assign assignments that have to deal with coding. I've seen kids come to the library, have a coding assignment. I'm like, what? And they're saying, you know, Miss Shannon, can you help me? I don't know how to do this. And I'm saying, well, I don't know how to do it either. You know? But, you know, if I had the tools that I have now, then I would have been able to show them, hey, there's these free websites, you know, there's different tools to help you. And this step-by-step shows the kids how to do the coding. So yes, and computer coders, you know, they are in high demand right now because there's different apps that people need to design for their companies. There's different websites, platforms like Zoom. Someone had to design this, believe it or not. If you're a young person listening, a coder had to create this. And then the different social media platforms. I'm pretty sure there are going to be more social media platforms that continue to grow. Like right now we have the Pinterest. I can't remember some of the other ones that people use, where it's just they're creating their own vision boards or different things that they want to use. So I'm pretty sure as we continue to go on, there will be a need for more of those. So hopefully our young people will explore that as a career. Next question, let's see. What resources or recommendations do you have for people who want to pursue a career in your field? You've mentioned a few of them earlier.
Yeah, the basic is they have to, the requirement is they have to do the 60-hour class. So that's the basic. Then once you are licensed, I have to do what they call continuing education credits. So every 2 years, I have to do classes. 15, I think it is that I'm required to do. But I typically do above and beyond that. Just because those are the basic requirements, but there are other areas of real estate that I'm interested in and that I want to pursue, that I want to make sure that my knowledge base is rich in. So just making sure that I am staying abreast as to what's happening. And because there are so many different avenues to it, to real estate, just making sure that I'm going in the direction that I want to go in, and not and focusing, because real estate is a broad field. So what is it that I want to do in real estate, and making sure that I'm staying in my lane and operating appropriately in that field.
Right. So you brought up some good points. CEUs, which are continuing education units. I don't know any career at this point that doesn't require that. Most of them are requiring it in order for you to either keep a certification or just to stay relevant in your profession. They want you to take classes. So as a librarian, we have to get CEUs too. We don't have a certification or a license, but in order to stay relevant, to understand how the profession is transforming and changing, we have to take those classes. So classes don't stop. If you're a student out there listening, you still got to take classes even after you get into your career. Sometimes it could mean taking a class to get more money in your profession. It could mean taking a class to move up into a higher position. It could just be taking a class just to stay relevant in your career. So don't forget, you still got to take classes, even as you go in your profession. So I think a lot of students think, hey, when I'm done with this degree or when I'm done with this high school diploma, that is it. I'm not taking no more classes. I don't have to study. I'm not doing any of it. But the fact of the matter is, this is lifelong learning. When you get into your profession, you're going to be learning and changing and growing throughout your profession. So I want to make sure our young people are aware of that. And also, there was one other point you brought up about, you said something about, you said the CEUs, also the career changing. I think sometimes people think, hey, I get in this career, it's going to stay the same. No, it doesn't stay the same. It's constantly changing. And then when things happen like COVID-19, that's another element or another layer to it. So you have to adapt to that layer or that change. So just being able to adapt as you go throughout your career or your profession is a huge point I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, you have to be adaptable.
Yes. I know some people are having to just, so our audience understands, change their schedule. So whereas before they were always in the office or always at work, now they're having to figure out, hey, a couple of days here I come in, a couple of days here I work from home. And then the other layer is, if you have kids, you have to figure out, okay, when I'm at work, where do my kids go if they're at home and they can't go to school or they can't go to daycare? How do I kind of manage that and figure that out? So yeah, it's changing. And also companies have to figure out, how do they make it so their environment is safe, not only for their employees, but the customers. So if you're a person that gets into upper level management or a management position, you may have to figure that out or think about what that's going to look like. As a young person now, you can kind of observe what's happening maybe with your parents. What are they doing? Are they going to work every day? Are they having to kind of alter their schedule? What are their plans for you? So that you can kind of start thinking critically about how you approach different situations. So this is a great opportunity for you to observe and learn. So hopefully our young people are taking this into consideration. The next question is, what comments do you have about the industry of real estate that people entering it may want to know?
I think that the biggest thing is you have to be a problem solver in real estate. Like I said, no transaction. It's not cookie cutter. You're dealing with people, emotions, relationships, whether they're emotionally tied to the house. Like, it's not ever the same. And so being able to think outside of the box, being able to stay calm when other people may not be calm, and being able to effectively communicate whatever needs to be communicated in that moment, whether it's to the client, your person that you're working with, or to the other agent that's working with the other family. So it's just one of those, it's an industry that's, we kind of talk, you have to be flexible in this field, because it's not, it's no day is ever the same. And you also have to have discipline in it, because no day is ever the same. It's not like I get up every day, I have to be at the office at 9, from 9 to 5. They are telling me what to do. Some days I get up and the first thing I do is respond to emails. Well, I do that pretty much every day, but depending on what those emails are, that may take me off of what I had planned to do. I have to understand what my schedule is and stick with it. I can't allow too many things to derail me from what it is that I'm trying to do. So I think that it's just important for people to be adaptable, flexible, and a problem solver. Like, this is how do we get it done? How do I get you into this house?
Yes. So young people, critical thinking is problem solving. So hopefully you are working on that skill. I know sometimes that skill can be a little bit harder to work on, because you're not always problem solving or using your thought process. A lot of it is you're reading a textbook, or you're following something your teacher has given you, and then you just execute it, or you feed it back to her, memorize this information, this is what you have a test on. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is you're presented with a problem. You have to use all the information your teacher may have given you in that textbook and apply it to the situation to solve the problem. So hopefully you will have times like that where you have questions, where your teacher challenges you. I know it doesn't happen a lot of the times, because teachers have a set list of things that they have to make sure that you learn as a student. But hopefully there's times where they're challenging you to think outside the box, to use what information you have and apply it, where there is really no right or wrong answer. It's just how you explain yourself, how you back yourself up with the information that you learned. So that's critical thinking. And teachers or educators, if you're listening, I hope you're giving your students those opportunities to use their critical thinking skills, or to develop their critical thinking skills inside the classroom, because that's really what all jobs are about. You're not always going to have a book in front of you that gives you the answer. Sometimes you have to use your experience, or you have to use information you've read or learned and apply it to the situation, and make a decision, or come up with an answer. That's critical thinking. Something I've seen all the time, because I'm on Facebook. I know kids are probably not big Facebook users, they're more Instagram. But on Facebook, there's people who post these riddles all the time. And I'm just like, hey, that's critical thinking. Some people get the answers right off the bat. Some people have to really sit and read and digest the material before they get the answer. Some people, they keep trying 10, 15 times until they get the answer, but it's still they're practicing their critical thinking skills. So young people, if you're not a big Facebook user and you don't see those riddles, maybe you can Google riddles that you can solve and read through. It requires you to focus, think, listen, digest the material, break it down. That's critical thinking. So hopefully I challenge you to take a look at some riddles or some critical thinking questions that you can solve. Next, the question is a pretty simple one. Do you enjoy what you do now? I think you do, from what you've told me so far, but
I absolutely enjoy it. I enjoy it for myself personally, when I do deals for myself, but the joy that I bring to other people. I had a family that it reminded me of why I do this. The family had me and the husband and wife, the couple, I was taking them out, and the kids knew that we were looking for a house, but the kids did not know that we found one, put a contract on it. And so on the day that we went to settlement, I said, hey, I said, do the kids know? And she was like, no, we're going to surprise them tonight. And I wasn't able to be there for the surprise, but what she did was she recorded it for me. So they went into the house under the precept of like, this is a house we're looking at. We're not really sure, but they had already purchased the house. And in each of the kids' rooms, she had put like a little welcome bag for their bedroom. And so when they were going through the house, they started in like the kitchen and the living room, dining room, and they're going through the house. And the oldest daughter like trailed off and went into her room. And she was like, what's this? And it had a balloon on it. And so the mom videotaped it. And she was like, oh my God, this is our house. And like, but leading up to it, you could hear the kids being like, oh my God, look at this, Mom. We like this. We like this. And it reminded me of like what it is that I do. Like I'm helping you find your home. Like I'm helping you to establish where your memories are going to be made. And so when I saw that, it literally brought tears to my eyes. I was just like, oh my God, like to see their little faces. But I love what I do. I love when I'm taking people into a house and hearing what they like, what they don't like, or I can see myself sitting here. Like it brings me joy to see that. And when I get pictures from them at Christmas time of like them in front of the fireplace or in front of the house as a family photo, it's like, I helped you. I was a part of that process, that decision-making process for you to get this home. So I absolutely love what I do.
Wow, that's awesome. And for our viewers watching, that's really what it's all about. Working in a field or a profession that you enjoy doing, that brings you joy, that when you wake up in the morning, you're excited about going to work. No matter how many long hours you have to work, no matter how many challenges or obstacles you face, you're excited, you're enthusiastic, you're motivated about going to work and finding what makes you motivated to go. So you talked about the joy you bring for people who are able to find their home or the memories they're going to make in those homes. That brings you joy and motivation to continue to go through some of the challenges or the obstacles that you have to face. So I think that's very important. If you get to a point in a profession where you're not feeling that motivation or that desire to go and do the best job you can do, maybe it's time to reevaluate. Maybe you can take the skills you have and take it to a career that you are passionate about, that you feel good about. And it's okay if you're not making the money you may want to make. It's about you being passionate about the field or the career. And young people, you may change your career several times. You hear Allison and I talk about, we had previous careers, now we're in a different career, and who knows what the future may hold. Allison and I may go to a different career.
Right.
It's just the way, life is. So try not to get too fixated on one career, throughout your life.
You mentioned something in terms of the money. You may not start in it making the money that you want to make, but if you apply yourself, if you show yourself, show them or improve your value and show what you're bringing to the table, you will be able to get the money that you want with it. But it may not start out there. So don't let that be a deterrent. When young people talk about the money that they want to make, and I get it, we need money. So I'm not clueless to that. Like, yes, we all need money. But if you do what you need to do on your end and put the investment in yourself, and perfecting your craft, whatever your craft may be, the money will follow you. Like it's going to come. But you just have to do the work on your end of it.
Yes. And it's great that you mentioned that about the work. When we talked about different classes you can take, I know some people feel like, I'm not going to take a class unless I am pushed to take whatever class, or I'm told I have to take this class. Right. Being able to get to a point where you're successful and making the money that you want to make may require you to step up and say, hey, let me see what classes are out there that I can take to better myself in my profession. Let me see what certifications I can get so that I can work in this area of my field, or so that I can advance in this area. So it may be you seeking out opportunities to get better or to enhance yourself as far as your career or your profession. So yes.
Or talking to your mentor.
Yeah.
Mentor and asking a mentor, like if you have a mentor that's in the field already and they've been in it and they're successful at it, they'll be able to say, oh, you should get this certification, or you should take this class, or you should read this book, or you should go to this meeting. Like, they will be able to introduce you to areas or individuals that will help you to go to that next level.
I agree. Yes. So, as an adult, I think when I first started out in my career, I didn't think about a mentor. I was like, hey, I got my degree, I'm done, I'm going to work in this profession, that's it. But as I started working, I started to realize I needed that person to call and contact and ask questions, or, just get feedback, or just to hear, okay, this person has been in the profession this amount of years. Did they face the same things I'm facing, or did the profession change throughout the years? Now is the profession completely different than it was when they were, in my shoes starting out? It's great to have, someone to bounce that information off of, ask questions, get feedback, get support. So yes, the mentor is very important, so please get one, if you don't already have one. All right, so let's see. Great conversation, Allison. Let me see where we are on my list of questions. When you first started your training or your education, where did you think you would be?
I'm gonna be honest, when I first got into it, it was when I first started the class, it was more information than I thought it would be. So I couldn't even think about where do I think I'm gonna be. I was just trying to like retain and figure out how am I going to learn all of this information? Like, how am I going to keep this information? And then as the classes continued, my teacher actually, she was like, no, she was like, you know this. She was like, you understand it. Like, and it would be times when she would ask a question, and if no one raised their hand, and if she would call on me, I'd be like, I didn't raise my hand. But she was like, no, you know it. And I did know it. I just didn't have the confidence at the time. Once I got the confidence in it, and I started applying myself, the very first thing I did do was get a mentor. I was actually assigned a mentor, and I was assigned a really good mentor within our brokerage. And I saw that I could do it. She would give me information, but she would, when we would be in meetings or things, like, she would let me lead the show. And once I had that confidence that I could do it, I saw that I could really do this, not just for myself, but I could realistically do this for others. But initially it was overwhelming when I like got the book, and the book was like this thick. That we had to go through. And I was just like, oh my God, like, we're going to go through this entire, and that was one of the books. That was the thickest book. But initially I couldn't even think about where do I see myself. It was probably after I'd been in the class for like 2 weeks that I started to feel like, okay, I can do this. But in that 2-week period, some people did drop out of the class.
Wow.
Which was interesting. It was just kind of like, after a while, like when she would take roll, it was no one answering to their names. And probably for the first month, after we were in a class for the first 30 days, that's probably when we were like then at our true roster, because we lost some people. And some of the conversations that we would have during the break is like we were feeling overwhelmed. Like, it was just a lot of information. And I can't let this stop me. Because like I said earlier on, fear of testing was one of my issues. But initially I couldn't really see where I was going to be, because I was just kind of like, whoa, like this is more than I thought it was going to be. But once I stuck to my schedule, and once I realized, like, I know it, and it's new for me, so I'm not an expert in it, but I'm getting some familiarity with it. I started to feel more confident about it. And then once I actually like started working in the field and I got a mentor, she encouraged me to feel confident in myself that I could actually do it.
Yes, you bring up some excellent points. And yes, I think a lot of people, when they go to school for something, or when they're starting school for something, it can be overwhelming to see all the information that you have to digest and learn and be able to apply, maybe taking a certification exam, maybe, passing a bar exam or a medical exam, whatever exam you have to take for your profession, and feeling like you're going to be able to be ready at that point. And so, yeah, a lot of people, even with college, they start and they say, hey, this is not for me. I can't do this. They already count themselves out before they really get started. So I like the fact that you said, I felt this way. I acknowledged I was overwhelmed, but I kept going. I did not just completely stop and give up. So, young people, you're going to be challenged, or you're going to be faced with obstacles when you get into, let's say, the college you want to go to, or let's say the major you want to be in. And it may be challenging at first, but try not to give up. Just try to stay in there, stay focused, get motivated, whether that be with your mentor or you self-talk, motivating yourself, so that you can keep going, because a lot of these professions are not easy.
Anything worth having doesn't come easy. And that's just something that I know. And that's what I would have to tell myself when I would be in those moments of feeling like, oh Lord. But it was really, I would have to say, anything worth having does not come easy. If it was easy, everyone would have it and everyone would be doing it. And if everybody is doing it or has it, then it doesn't have a lot of value.
Mm-hmm. Very
So
true.
I had to talk to myself some days when I would be driving to class.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's easy, young people, if it's that easy, it's not that valuable. Like why would they pay everybody a whole lot of money to do the same thing? Like, you got to set yourself apart. So when I feel myself challenged with things, I have to remind myself of that. Anything worth having is going to take an extra level of sacrifice and an extra level of something for me to overcome to get to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so really putting out the effort. So, young people, I know it's tempting to give up when you get overwhelmed or you feel frustrated, but I encourage you to stick with it. Even now in your careers as students, if you're a part of any type of organization within your school, maybe you're on a sports team, or maybe you're on a debate team, or maybe you're on a math team or something, and things get difficult along the way, just try not to give up. Stay focused, stay motivated, try to keep going and push yourself to finish. Because you never know, it may get better along the way. It may get a little bit more manageable. You may figure out exactly what you need to do to accomplish your goal. So try not to give up and stay focused. And then the last question is really for me is, what are some resources the library offers for folks looking to change careers, approach the job market, or looking for work during COVID? I would encourage you to visit our website at pgcmls.info. Once you get to the website, you can go to our career section. We have information for people who may have been a veteran. We have information for people who are trying to write the resume. If you're trying to write your resume, you can just answer a few questions and the computer system will type it up for you. We also have career transitions. We have mock interviews. So you can visit our website, and there's a whole section, a digital section that will help you. Maybe you want help with your cover letter, that's on there as well. And then eventually we are working towards a dedicated section of even more resources in our community to help people if they want to find a job in the community. There may be job listings posted, or if there's other educational or training resources for the job market, those should be listed there as well. So we are working towards that as a system. Again, Allison, thanks for educating us on what it's like to be a real estate agent, giving us also pointers that can be applied to any career, and helping us learn more about what it's like to be in real estate, especially during COVID-19. So we appreciate you joining us today. You're welcome. And thank you to our viewers who joined us today, whether you are young or old. We are happy to have you join us here today. We hope that you were motivated and encouraged to explore another career, such as real estate or any of our other careers. We hope that you will join us each and every Wednesday for a new career chat. Again, thanks for joining us. Hopefully you're continuing to stay safe And we hope to see you soon when the library opens back up.